There are new details on provisions in the coronavirus relief package. The Trump administration is now saying that large airlines will have to pay back some of the $32 billion in bailout money they received. Now, that could be a big problem if that money, which was supposed to stop massive job losses as a grant, turns into loans. Airlines might decide to refuse those loans and to lay off workers instead. Here to tell us more about this is Sara Nelson. She's the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA, which represents nearly 50,000 flight attendants at 20 airlines. Sara, these payroll grants were the only true workers' first provisions of the CARES Act. Out of the $2 trillion, 1.25% was allocated by Congress to go directly to the workers. But if this works, it'll be a good example of how we can use sort of taxpayer money to save jobs in the future. What's the roadblock?
Ali, we have to look at how this happened. So this is a mold for the rest of the industries across America to put this into paychecks and save jobs. And let me just take you back. We proposed this provision because we've been through bankruptcy. At the end of the longest bankruptcy in U.S. history, the United Airlines bankruptcy, the airline went after our pensions. While they gave the CEO a $4.5 million pension trust and awarded hundreds of millions of dollars to executives. At that time, Nancy Pelosi led a vote in the House to stop termination of our pensions. The Senate failed to act and the White House wouldn't act. But Pelosi was there with us. Speaker Pelosi now was there with us and understood what happens when you put together a bailout that's focused on the corporations and not the people. She gave us the power during that time to negotiate twice what United was willing to pay in a pension replacement plan, and she set it up so that we could live to fight another day. When we are facing this crisis and we were putting together this package, it was Speaker Pelosi and it was Chairman DeFazio in the House who had the imagination to believe that we could put together a workers' first package. And so they led with this aviation provision that keeps the payroll going. That's a real people's bailout and keeps jobs going. And then they joined arms with Senator Schumer and they got this into the bill. But the Republicans came in and gave the secretary the ability to put financial instruments on those grants, which makes them not grants. This is not the spirit of the bill. And let me just say, Ali, that there is Senator Hawley and the Progressive Caucus in the House who are now saying that this should be the template for everyone. And this was Speaker Pelosi who made this possible when no one else could imagine it. When I was talking to progressive friends who couldn't even imagine that we could build a people's bailout, and she did it. And she's going to be fighting hard now to keep this in place so that this can be a template that can be used for every other worker across the country. Because it matters what we do now.
To progressives who say, I don't want to give money to private corporations without the threat that there'll be some equity that they'll have to give up to the taxpayers because that feels like a gift. What do you have to say to them? Because what some people are missing is that these grants go straight to payrolls. So it's taxpayer money that goes straight to keeping people paid. It's not money that the company can use for other purposes.
These grants are specific to go to payroll and people's jobs. And I will tell you that if the airlines have to pay this back, what the investment bankers in Mnuchin's office are trying to set up is the idea that we should be lucky to have a job. Because in October, what they're going to do is use that against the workers. They're going to take it out of our hide. They took $7 billion yesterday. That's what Mnuchin is saying here. He's taking $7 billion out of the $2 trillion package and taking that away from the workers and lessening what is designated for us. This is going to destroy the workers' first package, and it's going to make people on the front lines hurt in the fall.
Sara, thank you for continuing to bring us to this to our attention, because if this package were to work the right way, it can be a model for how America deals with those workers on the front lines who could be losing their jobs. Sara Nelson is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA.